Hello, and welcome to another session of Block Chat. And today, with Gven Sariol, Gven will tell us all about him, about the project, where are we going with it. You'll have some stuff that are very exciting today, in addition to the view from Gven's apartment, which I will make sure he will show us today, and much, much more. Gven, how are you?
Great. Thanks, Makram. Been busy with all this
Yeah.
DeFi stuff going on.
So, Gven, you educate people in DeFi, which is a big part of what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Tell us more, please, about how did you start? What are you all about as an entity, as a company? Why Panama? And because now we'll talk about the roots. Gven is not from Panama, but he will tell us more about why Panama, as well as why tokenization of real estate and why Block Square. So we'll start with them, a question at a time. Let's start by knowing more about what are you all about, and how did we get here?
Yeah, so I started teaching crypto because DeFi wasn't around back then in January of 2018. I ended up seeing that there was a massive need for people to be shown how to self-custody their money, how to basically trade crypto, where you would go to trade it, and how to keep your crypto secure from scams and all that stuff. And so we started that in 2018, January of 2018, which was the end of the bull market. So it was probably the worst time to have gotten started with that. And I pushed like heck. I mean, we stayed open until about September or October of 2018. And then I ended up getting diagnosed with colon cancer. So I decided that I was going to stop because I was just under a tremendous amount of stress between my other job, crypto markets, bleeding out. And I ended up stopping, and I ended up going, I had a surgery. I didn't go through chemotherapy because I didn't want to end up dying even more through chemo. So I went the holistic route, and I ended up about a year and some months later finding a holistic shaman in Russia, Sochi, Russia. And I ended up going, and I brought some information in regards to crypto. And when I got there, I just broke it open and I started reading this stuff. And this was during the time of the pandemic. And I ended up getting locked in Russia during the time of the pandemic. And so what ended up happening was I said, well, I might as well just start learning this crypto stuff again. So I just opened it up, and I saw that there was just this tremendous opportunity. That was the spring of 2020. And I just haven't stopped since then. I reopened my educational business, and we were the first to really teach DeFi in a formal setting. And it was, it wasn't easy, but I made just a tremendous amount of money during that time and learned a tremendous amount of skills to get me to where I'm at right now. And now we're here, almost 5 years later, still in business, and we've got our own app. We have tokenized real estate, tokenized strategies. We're taking this whole thing to the next level. So that's where we started.
So how's your health now?
I've been cancer-free for 6 years. It was funny because I've been in remission for 6 years, and then the 6-year anniversary came, and like a month later, I was like, oh shoot, it's been, it's been 6 years now. It was another lifetime ago.
So you're a survivor. That's amazing.
I'm a thriver, not a survivor.
You are a perfect timer. You chose 2018 to start your business. And you survived COVID, which is another amazing achievement.
Yeah.
And you survived COVID and found an opportunity in there and in that as a business. And start your education. So why tokenization of real estate? I'm sure we can talk much about your business, about your educational side, and then much more than that. But let's jump into tokenization of real estate. So why tokenization of real estate? Why did you choose that avenue?
Yeah, so tokenized real estate for me. Oh shoot,
I lost your camera there. But you can continue while fixing the camera if you'd
There we
like
go.
to.
Yeah. So
Okay.
tokenized. So real estate has always had a really a soft spot in my heart in terms of investing. In fact, back in, I want to say 2015, sorry, no, the end of 2016, I ended up selling a property that I was in for about 2 years, and I made probably close to like $200,000 on that property. And in the United States, after 2 years, the reason I waited 2 years was because after 2 years, you don't pay capital gains on, I think it was like $250,000 of gains inside of a property that you've owner occupied. But I ended up selling it, and I used a lot of that money to end up getting into the crypto market in 2017, a few short months after selling it. And what ended up happening though was, especially after this last bull market, I ended up going back and I ended up looking at the property had I have not sold it, right? And while, $200,000 gain is not bad, right? I mean, that's pretty darn good. I would have ended up with today, that was in 2017, right? Or December of 2016. Today, that place would be worth about 1.4 million, which would have given me about a $700,000 return. And so I saw really that had I have hodled, I would have done much better. And I could have rented that place out and had an ROI of, tremendous amount at this point in time, probably like 12 to 15% in a long-term rental, not even a short-term rental, and having basically the whole thing paid off cash. And so when I ended up realizing this, I said, you know what? I want to get into real estate, but I don't want to get into it traditionally because I want to be able to take my real estate with me if I'm somewhere, right? I want to be able to hold it in my hard wallet. And so so we ended up going and looking for various different options, and we came up with Block Square. And Block Square, out of all of the ones that we ended up looking at, there was a few other ones like Realty and all this stuff, but it was like when I would go in, I would look and I was like, wait, this is like, there's a whole bunch of shoddy homes in here. It just was really, really strange, and it just didn't make sense because that particular property that I sold wasn't the only property. I had owned probably 5 or 6 properties even before that. But I said, I want to buy quality. I want to buy good properties, and I want to be the one listing it. I want to be the one to create the marketplace. And so we started off with Block Square. We decided to go with Block Square. We liked the tokenomics. We liked the structure. We liked the fact that, you all were coming up with ways to work with regulatory bodies in multiple different jurisdictions. And so when we saw that, we said, this is just the obvious choice. And so far, we've actually started really small in terms of what we're doing with tokenized real estate. But this is what I call like our beta test, right? And I don't think real estate's going anywhere. It's the asset with the best use case of anything, any commodity, except for maybe like coffee. But I actually think that it's going to do really, really well. And especially, it gives the average Joe out there the ability to buy real estate without having to come with a whole bunch of money down, without having to do credit checks, without having to do financing. And you get paid all on chain in crypto, which I think people love. I see that there's no reason that this is not going to be probably one of the hottest sectors, if not the hottest sector in the world. And so we're starting slowly though, because as you know, Makram, there's always pitfalls and things that you need to learn before you get started. And before we go amassing, millions and millions of dollars in AUM, we want to know what we're up against. What are the challenges? What are the issues that we can face? And we want to know them ahead of time so that we can understand it and then let our investors know what the risks are, because to me, disclosure is everything.
You actually gave me the best case of someone who's fond of property but understands crypto. So when you started and when you said initially, first time you said, um, I had some crypto, I had some real estate, I sold it, I went into crypto. I was so afraid that they think that would come next is I multiplied it by 1,000x, and that was it. And then when you told us about the route back to real estate, and you told us about what you found real estate would have done in on top of it cash flowing, that's amazing. And on
Yeah.
top of that, and when you told us also that it's a simple asset that people do understand, and you told us also that um, real estate is a set of diversified asset classes in its own, on its own, and in itself. Um, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I believe that I agree with you on the real estate side big time. I agree with you that we need to start small and learn on what we're doing, so that we do take baby steps, we crawl, and then we run. And I believe that's the right way to go, because to scale in what we're doing is so possible, but to scale on the wrong grounds is also possible.
Yeah.
And if you scale on the wrong grounds, it's very difficult to correct your base after that. So it's very important to get your base right. And I like it so much that prior to you putting together the going on the launch pad, you have launched the property, you have sold the property, you have tested the system, you have tested the marketplace. That is very important in my opinion, because then the minute that you go the next step, you have a community on, in addition to the Block Square community, that is already attached to what you do. Now, tell us more why Panama. You're tokenized in Panama. Tell us more about that, because at the end of the day, regardless of the tokenization, tokenomics, and the great experience in the technology, there is a very important thing, which is the side of the property, which is the core asset class with why Panama, and tell us more.
Yeah, so it's funny how my wife and my daughter was actually born here, but how we ended up here. So essentially, my wife was pregnant before us moving here. We were living in Costa Rica in the jungle. Our neighbors were literally monkeys. I'm not kidding you. I mean, we lived on this huge 30-some hectare property with a river and a waterfall. I mean, we drank from the river every single day. And we were there for about 5 months. And I was sitting, overlooking this beautiful view. We had the beautiful view of the largest lake there. And my wife comes out and she's just in tears. And she just looks at me and she goes, "I am bored here." And it was the same thing every single day living in the jungle. There wasn't that, to get to any sort of civilization, it was a 25-minute drive in either direction on the road. And so we ended up going to San Jose. We didn't like San Jose. And we were about to rent a property there. And then we just said, you know what, let's look around. So the first thing that popped up was Panama. And we looked at Panama, and it looked kind of like a Miami-esque city. And I was living in Miami prior to moving to Costa Rica. And so I said, hey, let's go check it out. So we went and we came here and immediately fell in love. We had a city that was somewhat walkable. We lived in Tbilisi, Georgia. Excuse me. We lived in Sochi, Russia together. We lived in Costa Rica, but what we really enjoyed was kind of like walkability. And so we moved to a place. It was the former Trump building. It's now the JW Marriott. And it was beautiful. We came in for a property or an apartment that was about, I want to say about 150 square meters, 153 square meters to be exact, with a panoramic ocean view. we were paying like $1,800 per month, and so we were just like, wow, count us in. And we, you go downstairs, there was 7 restaurants and so much to do. It's very stimulating. So we said, let's just stay here. Our daughter ended up being born here. Now, the government that was in charge before was horrible. I mean, they locked down the country way, way, way too much during the pandemic. It wasn't like Dubai where they, okay, hey, everything's okay. They just took it out of context and kind of tanked the economy. They were stealing from the people. There's been lots of protests while we were there. But then they just changed the government, and they are making strides like crazy here. I mean, it's insane. One of the things that Panama does suffer, especially in the city, is with pollution. And so not air pollution, but trash, where people are throwing trash into the rivers. Well, they're starting to now clean that up. They've set up, nets inside of the rivers and set up recycling plants inside of the rivers so that they can catch it far enough upstream. They're starting to educate the people on how not to do these things so that, you live in a clean environment. And then especially where we live, it's a small suburb, or actually a huge suburb in Panama City called Costa del Este. It's very walkable. There's tons of family. It's very clean. It's very friendly. It's very safe. And they're just making it that much better. The roads are getting better. This government is actually really listening to its people, and they are very business minded. They're cracking down on crime, which crime wasn't as bad. Panama is actually one of the safest countries in Latin America, but they're starting to even crack down even more on it. Panama, in terms of GDP and production output, is the most advanced country in all of Central America. So there's a lot going on here that I think we should be bullish about. And it reminds me, I was just in Dubai actually earlier this year. It reminds me, and people obviously, people obviously who have been there say that Panama is the Dubai of Latin America. We still got a few ways to go until we get there, because I love Dubai. It's very beautiful, but it's definitely headed in the right direction, and it's got the infrastructure and the climate to get there. And so when I sat down, I saw all these improvements that are happening with this new government. I'm really, really going to put my head down here and lay my roots here. And, my goal is, at least in the short term, the next 2 or 3 years, is to acquire 2 or 3 new properties per year here in Panama and start tokenizing them.
Tell us more, please, about the property that you've tokenized already. And then probably tell us about the property you're in today, because you mentioned that you may tokenize that afterwards. And show us the view. We need the view first. Yeah. So
you want to see the view now or later?
Later, when you talk about that property. But what about the property that you've tokenized already, that's available on the marketplace already?
Yeah. So like I said, the place where I'm at right now, it's called Costa del Este, the city, the suburb that I'm in. It's inside of Panama City, but it's a suburb called Costa del Este. And there's a lot of families here, but there's also a lot of businesses here. And I'll show you when I show you the view here. There's tons of skyscrapers here with lots and lots of businesses that are worldwide businesses. So there's a lot of families that come from Brazil, Colombia, United States, Canada, Europe, Russia. I mean, we've got a handful, just tons and tons of people here. It's a melting pot. It kind of reminds me of what the United States used to be. And these are middle-class families that are coming for work or a better lifestyle, just because Panama's so well connected and their banking is very well connected as well. And so we ended up purchasing a property called Arcadia, which is funny because it's ARCcadia, which is my educational platform, ARC Educational. And we didn't do it because of that.
Listen, guys, the reason he chose that is not the name. So.
Yeah. So what we noticed, though, was that there's a lot of long-term rentals here, But Panama is really zoned very specifically for long-term rentals and not short-term. And you have to get a license in order to get your short-term rentals. And it's the building has to be zoned for it. So this particular building was zoned for it. And given that there's a lot of commuters coming in, there's only one hotel here, which is the Westin, in all of Costa del Este. So they've got to, go basically out of here, a 10, 15 minute drive in order to do it. And who really wants to be in a hotel for a month, right? So this particular one was a concept where they have, shopping downstairs, cafes, co-working, a very nice rooftop pool on the 47th floor, something like this, overlooking the ocean and all of Costa del Este city. And then it's a flat, essentially, it's probably, I want to say it's like 60 square meters or something like that, where people can come, they can cook, they're not stuck in a hotel room, they have a nice view of the ocean or the city if they want, in the mountains. And so I said, this is a great place to start. It wasn't very expensive. I think it was like $300 and some thousand. And we just said, man, this is a great place to start. It's sold out because other people saw the vision as well. And, there's not too many lots open to build in Costa del Este. So we think that there's going to be a lot of demand, and they're going to be building a beach here. Right now it's marsh, but they're going to be building a beach right on Costa del Este on top of cleaning it up. So they say, we'll see. But I'm pretty bullish based off of what this current government has said. They want to make this place like, the place where expats come and live and buy. And to be quite honest with you, Makram, I see this like Miami back in 2010. I remember going with a group of investors to Miami back in 2010 and seeing, properties that were going for like $300,000-$400,000 that are now going for like $2-3 million. When the crash happened in 2008, it just really sent the prices tumbling. Even though we haven't had a correction here in Panama, the prices have been pretty flat for the last 5 years. Because again, this other administration before wasn't doing anything to really help the economy and was just raping it. And so we're pretty bullish that this new government, that they're just really dead set on making Panama like the new Dubai, the new Miami. And I think that we're going to see some really steady growth in this environment here.
Now tell us about the property you're in and about the surrounding. You talked about the area, which is very interesting. When you say it's becoming a Dubai, from a security and from a safety perspective, that's interesting. Tell us more, please.
Yeah, so the property that I'm in is, you can kind of see, it's a little empty because we recently just moved in, but it's about 260 square meters.
You're converting from square foot, I see, yeah?
Huh?
You're converting from square foot.
Yeah, I know. I have to convert from square foot, but because all my life I lived in the U.S. Yeah. But we're on the 30th floor here, and you can take a look at the view. The view's fantastic. And you can see all the there's lots of office buildings here, and on the other side there's ocean view. So like literally on this side over here, it's a really cool little boardwalk where people are walking all day long, and then they end up and then on the other side is the ocean. So of this boardwalk, and it's kind of cool because it's got like jungle. You can see the ocean through the jungle and stuff. So it's very, again, very health conscious, family friendly type of area, clean. You've got places where you can walk, run, exercise, which is really, really cool. So this particular property though, so we're in a lease to buy situation. And so the reason I haven't tokenized it is because of that reason. And the reason that we haven't full blown bought it yet was because we're going to be living here probably for the next couple of years. And I said, well, let's first pump the brakes and see if we even like it. Is it too noisy outside? Is it, is it bad workmanship in here? And it's actually really nice. We're going to buy it. It's really good. But the even better part is that lease to buy, it's an interest-free loan. So I didn't want to go in and acquire debt if I didn't need to right off the bat. And our goal is to basically pay it off as quickly as possible. And that we can probably do that with, tokenization and basically crowdfunding this. The intent though is obviously we keep moving up in the world. The next place we move, then this one gets leased out. Then there's, an ROI for me and the people that have bought in on this. So then the next one and the next one and the next one. And I've been doing a lot of research on how a lot of these longer term real estate investors make money. And really, there's no secret. It's just time, it's time and sticking to the plan. And had I have done that in that property that I had sold in at the end of 2016, I'd have a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 passive income coming in. I would have paid it off in full, and all that ROI would be in my pocket. And so what I see, and this is the power of like using Block Square alongside with entrepreneurs like myself and my business partner, is that if we keep on this path, we're going to give people the opportunity to basically dollar cost average into real estate who are like sitting there going, I can never get into real estate. Well, yeah, you can. You're going to be able to buy it, $100 a month at a time or whatever. And the best part about it, it's fully liquid. A lot of people don't understand that part of tokenized real estate. They're like, well, how do I sell it? Well, there has to be a buyer, right? But in my opinion, it's much more liquid than trying to go and sell it and putting it on the market and going through escrow and whatever paperwork you have to do, as opposed to just using a quick smart contract. That's a no-brainer for me. So yeah, that's what we plan on doing here.
Liquid, liquidating few tokens of $1,000 rather than $1 million property. Again, right. Nothing is liquid indefinitely because you always need a buyer and a seller, but 100%. And by the way, what you've given us today, Gven, is you've run us in the most clear and simplistic way through why tokenized real estate. And that's from the angle of an investor, a homeowner, from an angle of a buyer, from an angle of a marketplace operator. So I couldn't ask for more today. You've nailed it perfectly on all sides.
Yeah, thank you.
So I believe that what you're doing there is very interesting. Panama is a pretty interesting place for many reasons. The importance of Panama over the past 50 years in everything from world trade to commerce. And again, progressive governments, I don't know much about Panama communities, society, and politics, but from what you've described now, it seems that it's going on a progressive route towards further development, security, safety, lifestyle, cleanliness, and being in the location it is in, and having that much importance on a global level, and being such a small, it's not at the end of the day a huge country. It's not that, but it has that much importance. So I always say, imagine that you have a small community shop, but it has publicity as much as a hypermarket. You obviously have that shop enjoy a very special position. And when you have a smaller state and a smaller emirate and a smaller country like the UAE and Dubai and like Panama, like Singapore, I believe you get that much opportunity, intensity of opportunity, I would say, because of that. So that's amazing. I think that the route forward will be very exciting to you and everyone who joins the marketplace, to us as well. At Block Square, we're excited to have um, you have partners who know exactly why are they doing this and why are they doing it with Blocksquare, because that gives us that much power when we are trying to innovate towards the future tomorrow. um, I'm so happy that we've had this discussion today. Is there
Yeah.
anything you would like to share that I haven't asked you? Because actually you didn't need me to ask you much, so that you would like to involve our community, your community, on today.
Yeah, I think we're going to be launching on the our one property on the Block Square marketplace very soon. So I would have your community keeping an eye out for that, because it is, I know you guys are amassing a whole bunch before you actually start putting yours on, but ours will be one of the ones that will be ready for sale. So if you're looking to, dip your toe into the Panama market and into, Block Square's marketplace and tokenized real estate, keep an eye out for that, guys and gals, because we think that it's going to be a good opportunity. And then as we get this up and running, we'll have another one and another one and another one. So we're excited about the relationship that we have with Block Square and tokenized real estate as a whole. We're bullish on both.
That's amazing, Glenn. How do they get in touch with you? Because I believe many people would be interested to get in touch with you to access the marketplace, to know more about what you do. And at the same time, because you have this ability to explain things in a very simple and easy to get through way, I believe they would be in touch with you also to leverage that. How is it best to get in touch with you, and how can they access the marketplace that is currently powered?
Yeah, so my YouTube is probably the best place where I put out a lot of free information. It's Gven Sariol, just my name. And I think it's like Gven Sariol DeFi or something like that. But if you type in my name, there's only one. So, and then in regards to the tokenized real estate, if you go to tokenizedrealestate.fi, that's the entrance into our marketplace. And there's some information there as well. But in regards to the educational stuff, you can go to ARCrypto or ARCrypto.io. And we've got lots of information there as well.
Guys, it's very easy. If you're whitelisted already on one of the marketplaces, you can access, join the community, check out the properties. If you're not, it's pretty easy to create an account, go in, KYC. It takes you a few minutes. It's a very simple online KYC process. Connect your wallet. Everything that we do is self-custody driven, and Gven can tell you much more about that, because I'm sure he is as excited, but not more excited about self-custody than me and anyone else who is interested in that. You connect your wallet. It's very easy to create a MetaMask. There's plenty of tutorials on that. MetaMask or any other. Okay, you can have your cold wallet. You can then join the community. You can check out the marketplace. You are able to, after you research, obviously, the property, after you research the technology, everything is clear in the documentation. And our teams are here to support you so that you can have an interesting experience. Gven, thank you so much for joining us today. We approximately did it in 30 minutes, 34 minutes, but I'm sure that it was full of interesting material. And I'm sure we'll have more of this, because we need to know much more about everything from Costa Rica to Panama and beyond, what's coming. Thank you so much for joining us, for being part of our energy at Blockchat today.
Awesome. Thank you, Makram. I look forward to the next one.
Until the next one.